Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm enjoying this island. I'll be staying here for a little while. You'll see different sides of the island, different views. This is a nice view. Little stormy today. Real light rain. That's kind of nice. You'll see my friend over here, a little turtle going around. I'll probably have him for lunch. Okay, but right now, don't worry. I won't kill myself. I'll just take it to the resort and they'll cook them for me. Okay, so chapter 10, this is where we are today. I think the last time you remember that Philip got slapped by Timothy. Timothy wasn't offended by what Philip said. He just needed to wake this kid up. Listen, kid, you're going to die out here if you don't start learning how to do the work, okay? Sometimes people need a wake-up call, and I think that's what happened there. And Philip admits it. He says, I changed that day. Something changed. Chapter 10. During our seventh night on the island, it rained. Hey, like it is today. It was one of those tropical storms that come up swiftly without warning. We were asleep on the palm mats that I'd made, but it awakened us immediately. The rain sounded like bullets hitting the dried palm frond roof. We ran out into it, shouting and letting the fresh water hit our bodies. It was cool and felt good. Timothy yelled that his catchment was working. He had taken more boards from the top of the raft and had made a large trough that would catch the rain. He picked up bamboo links on the beach and had fitted them together into a short pipe to funnel the rainwater into our 10-gallon keg. So their keg has a little stopper, little hole, and then he made like a funnel, basically, a funnel to catch the rain and take all that rain into the keg. It rained for almost 2 hours, and Timothy was quite angry with himself for not making a second catchment because the keg was soon filled and overflowing. We stayed out in the cool rain for 20 or 30 minutes and then went back inside. The roof leaked badly, but we didn't mind. We got on our mats and opened our mouths to the sweet, fresh water. Stu Cat was huddled in a miserable ball over in a corner. Timothy said, not enjoying it at all. I liked the rain because it was something I could hear and feel, not something I must see. It peppered and bursts against the frond roof, and I could hear the drips as it leaked through. The squall wind was in the tops of the palms, and I could imagine how they looked in the night sky, thrashing against each other high over our little cay. I wanted it to rain all night. When you're blind, rain is something you can hear and feel. You don't have to see it. We talked for a long time when the rain began to slack off. Timothy asked me about my mother and father. I told him all about them and about how we lived in Scarloo, getting very lonesome and homesick while I was telling him. He kept saying, that be true. Then Timothy told me what he could remember from his own childhood. It wasn't at all like mine. He'd never gone to school and was working on a fishing boat by the time he was 10. It almost seemed the only fun he had was once a year at Carnival, or Carnival, as they say, when he'd put on frangipani leaves around his ankles and dress up in a donkey hide to parade around with mock jumbies, the spirit chasers, while the old ladies of Charlotte Amalie danced the bambola around them. He chuckled. I drink plenty de rum those 3 days of Carnival. I could picture him in his donkey skin wheeling around to the music of the steel bands. They had them in Willemstad, too. Because it had been on my mind, I told him that my mother didn't like black people. He's now telling him. I'm going to read that part again because it's important. Because it had been on my mind, I told him that my mother didn't like black people, and I asked him why. He answered slowly, I don't like some white people my own self, but 'twould be outrageous if I didn't like any of them. Wanting to hear it from Timothy, I asked him why there were different colors of skin, white and black, brown and red. And he laughed back. Why be fish different color or flower be different color? I true don't know, Philippe. But I true think beneath the skin is all the same. Beneath the skin, it's all the same, isn't it? Blood, flesh, muscle, bone, all the same colors, all the same thing. Your heart, your brain, your liver, your lungs. Her Jonquière had said something like that in school, but it did not mean quite as much as when Timothy said it. Long after he'd begun to snore in the dripping hut, I thought about it. Suddenly I wished my father and mother could see us here together on the little island. Think about that. He now wants his mom and dad to see them together because he has a friendship with Timothy. And he can't explain it in words. He just wants his parents to see what a kind and important friend, his only friend and the only person keeping Philip alive right now is Timothy. I moved close to Timothy's big body before I went to sleep. I remember smiling in the darkness. He felt neither white nor black because it doesn't matter. He feels like a human being. In the morning, the air was crisp and the Cay smelled fresh and clean. Timothy cooked a small fish, a pompano, that he'd speared down at dawn down on the reef. Neither of us had felt so good or so clean since we had been aboard the Hato, and without discussing it, we both thought this might be the day an aircraft would swing up into the Devil's Mouth, if that's where we were. The pompano, broiled over the low fire, tasted good. Of course, we were eating little but what came from the sea: fish, langosta, mussels, or the eggs from the sea urchins, those small black round sea animals with sharp spines that attach themselves to the reefs. Timothy had tried to make a stew from seaweed, but it tasted bitter. Then he tried to boil some new sea grape roots, but they made us ill. The only thing that ever worked for him was sea grape leaves boiled first in seawater and then cooked in fresh water. But above us, 40 feet from the ground, Timothy said, was a feast. Big, fat, green coconuts. When we'd landed there were a few dried ones on the ground, but the meat in them was not very tasty. In a fresher one, there was still some milk, but it was rancid. At least once a day, especially when we were around the hut, Timothy would say, "'Tis outrageous, them coconuts hang up in the sky when we could use the milk and meat." Or he'd say, "Timothy, my own self long ago could climb the palm very easy." Or hinting, and I guess looking up at them, "Philip, I do believe you be getting outrageous strong here on the island." He was trying to say that so that he could talk Philip into climbing up the coconut trees to get the coconuts, because they're just there and they're like, "Oh, I want those coconuts so bad." He made a point of saying that if he were only 50 again, he could climb the tree and slice them off with his knife. But at 70 odd, he did not think he could make it to the top. That morning over breakfast, Timothy said, looking to the tops of the palms, "I'm sure a little milk from the coconut would be good now, huh, Philip?" As yet, I didn't have the courage to climb the palms. "Yes, it would," I said. Timothy cleared his throat, sighing deeply, and put the coconuts out of his mind. But I knew he'd try me again. He said, "Them devlin' coconuts aside, your mother would never be knowing you now." I asked why. "You are very brown and very lean," he said. I tried to imagine how I looked. I knew my shirt and pants were in tatters, just ripped up. My hair felt ropey. I'm starting to get like dreadlocks and things, probably, kind of ropey feeling. There was no way to comb it. I wondered how my eyes looked and asked Timothy about that. "They look without cease," he said. "They stare, Philip." "Do they bother you?" Timothy laughed. "Not me. Every day I think what rare good luck I have that you be here with my own self on this outrageous humbug island." I thought a while and then asked him, "How long was it before that friend of yours, that friend in the Barbados, could see again? Remember he told him about his friend that got hit on the head? Timothy replied vaguely, oh, many months, I do recall. Many months? But you told me on the raft it was only 3 days. Did I say that? Yes. Well, Timothy said, 'twas a long time ago, but he got his sight back to be true. He paused a moment, then said, now I tell you, we got much work to do today. I noticed more and more that Timothy always changed the subject when we began to talk about my eyes. He would make any kind of an excuse. What work? I asked. Now let me see, he said. For one thing, we must make another catchment, and we must go to the reef for food and... I waited. Timothy finally exploded. Now that is a lot of work, feel it to be true. Okay, that was chapter 10. Tomorrow we'll do chapter 11. This rain is nice. The turtle is nice. Everything's nice. I'll tell you how he tastes tomorrow. Okay, guys, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.